Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Ink Studios. I'm your host Ink, and first and foremost, I want to thank you guys so much for 100 subscribers. I'm really excited, that's totally awesome. Thank you guys, I really appreciate the support, and I'm glad that you guys like my work. So, today's piece is for my coworker. She just lost her dog, who she loves very, very much, so I decided to make a little something for her. And I guess in a related topic, I guess today's story time will be about my very best friend growing up. Now, if you guys are familiar with my videos, you know, ha ha ha, I didn't have friends growing up. I did, however, have a cat for my childhood, so we're going to be telling that story today. So, once upon a time, long, long ago, I was smaller than I am now. I was gonna say I was small, but I'm still 4'11", so I was smaller. Between 6 months and a year old, about. And my mother had taken me out in my little car seat, and it was raining, pouring, flooding. Keep in mind, I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't like I remember this happening. This is just a story that's been told so many times in my family that I remember it now. So, raining, pouring, and flooding, and so much water. And she sets my car seat down on the porch to stick her key in our door. And then a tiny, orange, wet floofy runs from underneath the porch next door, up onto our porch, and hops in my car seat with me. And lo and behold, it is a tiny, raggedy, starving kitten with ears bigger than his face. And apparently in the apartment that we were living in, we were not allowed to have pets. However, my mom, I guess, told the story to the landlord, and the landlord's like, how could you separate them? That's such a sweet story. So that is how I got my very first pet, whom I named Simba, and I'm going to continue telling the story of our life together. I was a weird kid. I liked to read. I hated people, even as a small child. So I did not have any people friends, but me and Simba grew up together. Obviously he grew a lot faster than me. So when we were both really little, we would play like tag, I guess, or hide and go seek, or a combination of the two, from what my mom and family members have said. But apparently, being that he grew up a lot faster than I did, we were playing tag at one point, and he jumped on me, and little me fell over and started crying, and then he wouldn't play with me anymore. So apparently that's how that ended. When I was young, I used to tell people that me and my cat played chess together, which I truly believed, because I was young and stupid. But we actually do have this like really old family VHS tape that has a brief clip of both of us sitting on either side of a chess or a checkers board, and just I would push a piece, and then he would push a piece, and then I would push a piece, and then I would push a piece, and then he would push a piece, and I'd look up and I'd say, "Mom, who's winning?" She'd always say, "Simba." And oh man, I was just convinced that this cat was so smart because he was beating me at a game that I didn't know how to play. I remember that he really was smart, though. I mean, he wasn't playing chess, but he was smart. We'd be in the middle of watching VHS movies, and he would walk up to the VHS and push the power button with his nose. He would do that with my mom's music, too. My mom had this weird spinning music disc thing, and he would push the eject button on it to push the CDs out. We were also completely convinced that Simba thought he was a people. Very much. He used to sit at the table, and my mom would give him people food, and while he could not fork, he would sit at the table in a chair and eat people food off of a plate. And apparently, several years into this, my mom's awful, terrible, horrible, nasty, mean boyfriend, again, if you've watched my videos, you may be familiar a little bit, decided one day that he was going to show this cat that he was not a people. So he brought him into the bathroom and stuck him in front of the mirror, and apparently, again, I was not present for this. I'm not saying 100% that this happened. This is just a family story that everyone talks about. Apparently, he showed Simba in the mirror that he was not a people, and Simba freaked out and hid underneath the couch for like 3 days and wouldn't eat anything and was just traumatized. And when he came back out from underneath the couch, he just wasn't the same. He was just less people. He was just sad. So, Simba lived until I was 19, but he really shouldn't have lasted that long. And I mean, I loved him. Like, I was convinced as a small child that one day I was going to kiss him and that he was going to turn into a human and that we were going to live together happily ever after, and that because he was my only friend, and I was convinced that we were just going to be best friends for the rest of my life. And a couple years before that, he had something happen to his eye. It got like infected and then it fell out, and not long after that he started having difficulty walking around. And after he lost his eye, I told my mom, it's time. I love him as much as you do, if not more, but he's suffering. You know, when he was trying to eat, his jaw would make weird crunching noises. He was blind. He had cataracts in the eye that he still had. And you could tell it just hurt for him to move around, you know. And I told my mom, it's time to let him go. He is going to live forever if we let him, because he doesn't want to leave us, but he is in pain and we need to do the right thing for him. And she just downright refused. Nope, I can't. He's my son. I can't do it. It was not until a few years later, when he had a stroke and half his body was paralyzed, that she finally admitted, okay, it's time. And when we brought him to the vet, he got a euthanasia shot, and it took several minutes for it to actually work on him, which the vet had said they had never seen an animal fight against euthanasia for as long as he did. Which doesn't surprise me at all, because this guy would have been walking around until he was nothing but a skeleton, walking around the house with no fur and no organs, if it meant that he could stick it out for us. You know, he wanted to live forever, not for him, but for us. And it was heartbreaking, of course. You know, he was my only friend, and I loved him with all of my heart, and it was heartbreaking, but, you know, I really believe that once the quality of life for your pets gets so bad, you have to do what's right for them, you know, and he was in so much pain and at this point couldn't walk, and I'm just eternally grateful for the time that I had with him, because he was incredible. He was an amazing animal. I remember he wasn't old yet, and I was still relatively young, but old enough to remember this bit on my own. We had moved somewhere, and there were stray dogs on the street, which was unusual. I mean, still now, like, finding stray dogs, more than one, on a street is unusual, because animal control is usually on top of that, you know. But we moved onto a street where there were a couple of stray dogs. He was an indoor-outdoor cat. We went out to call him in for dinner, and we heard dog crying. So I went down to see what was going on, and Simba had a medium-sized pitbull-type shaped dog cornered between an alleyway and a fence. And this poor dog is just whining and crying, and he's all puffed up and, like, making funny cat noises, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Leave him alone. And this poor dog tries to, like, run past him, and Simba just starts slash attacking this poor thing. And I had to walk up and yoink him up, and as soon as I picked him up, this dog just booked it. I mean, I felt so bad. I'm like, why do you have to be such a jerk, you know? Like, what did this dog ever do to you? And the dog ran off. I mean, he was a hunter for sure. When I was little, but I do remember this because it was terrifying and traumatic. He would bite off pigeon heads. Pigeons. Like, pigeons, if you're not from the city, let me inform you, pigeons are big-sized, okay? They are bigger than cardinals, they are bigger than blue jays. not as big as chickens, but they're big birds. And he would drop headless pigeons on my pillow, and I would wake up with headless pigeons on my pillow. Pigeons, mice, chipmunks, you name it. I mean, he just loved bringing me dead things with no heads. So, no wonder I had nightmares as a child. And the worst thing, like this thing that was, oh God, it was so bad. When I was little and still living with my mom, so this was before I was even in 2nd grade, he would pee on my hair at night. And I'm assuming that's like a territorial thing, but it got to the point, sorry about that, it got to the point where my mom actually had to like close my door and not let him sleep with me because he would pee on my hair. It's really, really gross. And another super gross thing that he would do, but something that I kind of approved of more, my mom's crazy, nasty, mean, evil boyfriend, whenever he did something nasty to Simba, Simba would shit in his work boots. So, that one was good with that. That was funny. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed my piece. I hope you enjoyed my story. Thank you guys so much for 100 subscribers. I really, really appreciate the support. If you are not subscribed, you can do that, or you could like or leave a comment suggestion in the comments section. You know where to put it. And I will see you guys in the next one.